coming today. Welcome to Splash and Stanford Government's presentation on environmental policy and youth in action. We're really excited that you're all here. And I would like to present our first speaker of the day, Mr. Elton Sherwin. Mr. Sherwin is the Senior Managing Director at Ridgewood Capital, where he invests in energy technology and clean tech companies. He just finished his second book, Addicted to Energy, A Venture Capitalist's Perspective on How to Save Our Economy and Our Planet, there we go, which outlines 50 policy alternatives on how to do so. He's also written another book, The Silicon Valley Way, which has been translated into many languages, including Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, and is read around the world. He is an occasional guest speaker here at Stanford, and we are very lucky to have him. So,
good. Well, I'm excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this. So we'll just start here really quickly, and maybe we'll start in the back, because those are probably the people that wanted to speak up. What town you're from, and one thing that you think your family does that's going to be in the top 6 things that families do for a big carbon footprint. You're from?
I'm from San Jose, and one thing my family does is we try to use our smaller car.
Okay.
I'm from Oakland, and our family doesn't normally use multiple outlets instead of just using like 1%.
Less electricity?
Yeah.
Okay. This could be something your family does that creates a big carbon footprint as opposed to something that's good. So either way. Okay.
From San Francisco.
Welcome.
My family.
You can pass?
Pass.
Okay.
I'm from San Francisco, and our family tries to compost.
Okay.
I'm Alex from San Francisco, and I do what she does.
All right.
I'm from San Francisco, and not really sure.
Okay. So let's just go. Who is from a city we haven't heard from, or who is doing something we haven't talked about yet? Other cities?
I'm from Foster City.
Oh, Foster City, you featured prominently in today's presentation. Okay. Anyone else? Next? Any other? Yes? Millbrae?
I also live in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Okay. You'll see a little bit of Pittsburgh. Yes?
Burlingame.
Burlingame?
San Jose.
San Jose? Fremont. Oh, you'll see some good pictures of Fremont here today.
Half Moon Bay.
Half Moon Bay. All right, well, let me get started. And so on today's agenda, I'm going to talk very briefly about a global perspective, and then I'm going to talk about California, and then I'm going to talk about what high schoolers can do. So this is a picture of a glacier in Alaska. You can see in the upper left-hand corner what it looked like in 1941, and then from the same spot, the same time of year in 2004. And the glacier, as you can see, much of it has melted. This is happening almost everywhere in the world. It's happening in Tibet, it's happening in Europe, and it's happening all through Alaska and around the world. The world's ice is melting. This is a NASA satellite photograph that they marked up a little bit, and I've marked up a little bit. That's Greenland at the bottom, Russia off the top. So you're looking down right at the top of the planet. It's a view we don't often see. Canada is on the left-hand side. In 2007, almost 40% of the North Pole disappeared at the height of the summer. Scientists around the world were shocked. No one had anticipated this much of the North Pole melting this quickly or this dramatically. So what is this greenhouse effect, and what is causing it, and what's it going to do to our planet? So CO2, carbon dioxide, you see the picture of it there. It's tasteless, it's odorless, it's non-toxic, and it's invisible, meaning it lets visible light through. However, it traps infrared heat. So it traps the invisible heat that you sometimes feel coming through, say, a pane of glass. So the simple greenhouse effect, the sun shines, it warms up the planet, and then some of that heat reflects off into outer space, and the CO2 in the atmosphere grabs it, keeps it from going back into space, and it warms up the planet. Analogous to parking a car in the sun on a cool day, and you open the door and you get in, and the car is hotter than you expect it to be because the sunlight has come through, heated up the upholstery, and the heat is then trapped in the car by the glass. The CO2 does an analogous thing for the planet. Now, a certain amount of this is good because we would have an ice planet if we had no CO2 in the atmosphere. It would be a much, much colder place than it is today. We're well on a path to doubling the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere that we had before the Industrial Revolution. And on the right-hand side is a computer model of what a doubling of CO2 does to the planet, done here at Stanford. A couple things that you should notice about it. The North Pole and the South Pole are heated the most. And land is heated more than water. So the water has more capacity to absorb the heat than the land does. And you can see the heating, average temperature is quite dramatic in parts of the world. I'm talking about 5 or 6 degrees centigrade, which is over 10 degrees Fahrenheit increase in temperature. So do we really know that CO2 is doing this? Couldn't it be sunspots or the Earth's orbit or some other natural phenomenon? Well, we know with a high degree of certainty that it's CO2 and that we're doing it. And there are several ways that we know this. One of the more interesting ways is that in the last 20 years we've been drilling ice cores. This is in Greenland, and we drill these ice cores and they go down a mile. And glacier ice is actually snow that's compressed down on itself. So it's a little bit like tree rings that you're looking back in time, and you can look back and pull little bubbles of air out of these deep ice cores that are 450,000 years old. So we have bubbles of air that were formed when the snow fell 500,000 years ago. And we pull those little bubbles of air out and they get analyzed. So this is a chart showing CO2 concentrations looking back 400,000 years in time. And the dark blue line on the top, you can see that CO2 has fluctuated around in a relatively narrow band, roughly between 200 and 300 parts per million over the last 400,000 years. The orange or the rust-colored line below it has been the planetary temperature over the same time. So interestingly enough, one of the great marvelous things about these air bubbles is that you can pull the oxygen isotopes out of them and you can actually tell what the temperature was when the air bubble was formed. So we have this planetary record going back 500,000 years of CO2 and temperature, and you almost can't tell the lines apart. You put them on top of each other, they're almost identical. So what's happened in the last few years? Well, since the Industrial Revolution, the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere has shot up because of all the stuff that we burn. So the current levels of CO2 are the highest they've been in the last 400,000 years. Now, this is civilization. You look at that big long chart, you tend to think, but written history and farming and the advent of coastal cities is happened just here